Welcome back to Stampin' at the Warren, and I'm Kim Tolton. And yeah, I have morphed into this very husky voiced person. I'm not a smoker, but sound like it at the moment, feel like it as well. Anyway, today what I'm sharing with you is this beautiful card from using the awesomely artistic stamp set, which is a fabulous collage stamp set. And I just think it's brilliant. You can have so many different effects with it, and it's great fun. And I always love a bit of freehand cutting. So for the oh my goodness, I can't think of the name of the winged thing now. This is terrible. Oh, honestly. Don't get sick. Dragonflies, there we go. So this is what we're making, or a variation of it today anyway. And I'm in the main, I'm using basic black and the current in colours, so the ones that retire next year, not the ones that retire this year. So I'm using a combination of inks from that collection. So if you hear this noise, that's my colour caddy being turned round as I get my ink pads out. Right, so I have made this using basic black for the card base, and it's a slightly different fold to normal, so it's almost like turning an A6 card on its side. So to make your card base, you need a piece of basic black cardstock. And actually basic black holds up really well as a card base because of the pigment they have to use for black card. Black cardstock tends to be a bit thicker and a bit more robust, so it's great for using for card bases. So this measures 29.6 centimetres by 10.5 centimetres, and then the long side you score at 14.8 centimetres. Fold so that the raised score line is on the inside, and burnish the fold with your bone folder. And that can go to one side because we don't use that again until the card is complete, or the card front is complete. Right, so now I haven't pre-mounted any of my stamps, so I'm just going to grab a few acrylic blocks I know I shall need, and let's rock and roll. That's what I say. So we're going to need the friend, the nice floral one, the Hessian styled one, like a button, that one. So we're using pretty much all of the stamps. So this is a selection of the stamps that we're using. The only ones I'm not using are the little firm ones. I think there's enough here for today though, don't you? Right. It got a bit chilly last night, and so all my blocks have got really cold and a bit condensation-y, so they're not sticking as nicely as I would like them to. They keep coming off. I've got a new thing to try, which is putting clear vinyl onto your blocks, and that should help prevent all of that, so I should be trying that soon. Right, so I'm using Watermelon Wonder for the main stamping, and you're going to be using first, second and third generation stamping techniques. So that means the amount of times you stamp before re-inking. And then re-ink, so I did 3 times there. Re-ink. Try and get the centre of the stamp there as well. Go back over, And then you just want it to extend a bit onto this side as well. There we go. So that's that one. Next you want this tiny little sort of, I suppose it's pollen, I would think. That's what it's intended to be. And I'm going to do it in two colours, so I'm going to start with Cucumber Crush. And just randomly stamp until the ink stops being visible. So I think I've gone about 5th generation stamping in there. And then because we've taken off all the colour, I'm not going to clear, I'm going to be naughty and not clean the ink pad in between. Let's put this one away as well. And then I'm going to use Delightful Dijon. So I'm sticking to all the current in colours for the one card, and that means that they're all coordinate beautifully with each other, but they do also coordinate with the other 5 colour collections. And this almost gives colour, like gives petals almost to the flowers. And again, you want to just keep going with it until the ink is all gone. There you are. So I think that's enough. And because it's a collage stamp, every card will be different, and that's the real fun of it, I think, personally. So that is the main part done, apart from this. So this is a real, it really does look like Hessian, I think it does anyway. But the benefit of this is you can make it whatever colour you like. So rather than brown, I'm going with the black. And I think black can be quite a powerful colour on cards, and I don't think we use it often enough. Tend to use it on masculine cards probably more, but I think we do overlook black as a really important colour to use in any form of card making. I think we often see it as the colour for mourning. Maybe that's what it is. Right, I'm now going to ink up some of the other elements of the card. So we're going to stamp a couple of butterflies, and to make your stamp stick, you just pop them on and hold them in place for about 10 seconds, and then they're on there nicely. And you want 2 dragonflies. Oh, that didn't come out very well, did it? Goodness me. That's better. You do have to use a bit more pressure on the new archival black ink pad. I'm just going to snip that bit off. We can't use it. I'm going to turn it over and use it for the other bits. That's your 2 dragonflies, and then you want the friend, and we're going to put the friend stamp inside. And this is the frame. There's the frame, and then mount up the friend stamp, and it's all in black, and just centre that up in the middle of your frame. There's that bit. So they're the main elements that we've got to cut out, and we're also going to do a little bit of stamping with the button, and here I am changing colour to Tip Top Taupe, which is also in the same colour collection. So I think I've used all of the colours now, maybe not, yeah, I think I have. And I'll show you this stamp on here. No. So it's like a button, but I want to use it like a watermark, so we're going to stamp off onto the cardstock and then stamp on the actual card. To stamp off on scrap paper, I use my my grid paper for this. Let's do a third one down there. So it just gives you a shadow, watermark effect on there. Pop that away, and before I start to build the card together, just below where that Hessian stamp is, pop a piece of tear and tape, peel the backing off, and then you want a piece of crochet trim. I have to remember Venetian crochet trim, and it's a lovely off-white, very vintage feel. Snip off the excess there. Turn it over, and then just tear off 2 tiny pieces of tape and tear, just so you can stick down the ends on the back of the card. So just use your fingers to pick up the tape or tape topping. Okay, and then you can just flap those bits over, and it just gives a nicer feel rather than cut edges here. Right, now we can put this onto the card front, because everything else is just an assembly job. So some fast fuse, you could use Tombow, you could use tape and tear, whatever is your choice of adhesive. So this top layer measures 14.4 by 10.1 centimetres, that whisper white panel that we did there. Now you want your trusty paper snips, and this is where I can't find mine. Right, I'll get all my tools out. There we go, they're hiding in the middle there. And these are lovely paper snips because they're really incredibly sharp and they get right in those corners. Start with this one, and I've been doing the stamping first because the black just takes a little bit longer to dry, so rather than having it smudge and then having to redo it, I find it easier to do a different job. Now when you're cutting freehand, you are rotating the cardstock, not the scissors. Okay, if if you try to cut by using your scissors, you end up with ridges and it never comes out exactly what you want. Whereas by rotating your cardstock, you get a much more even edge. There you are. That's your friend one. That's your label done. And then to cut these, I cut them into pieces, and then I start at one tail, and that means I'm not holding on to a tail desperately. They will always, and you ideally want just about 1 millimetre of white showing around the edge of anything you cut. The easiest way of explaining it is next time you're watching a TV program or a film, look for the halo of usually yellowish colour, but there's always a halo of light around the heads of the actors and other elements in the film as well. And by having that little halo of light, in this case white, it gives more definition to what you're cutting, and it helps it stand out from the background. It's the reverse of a shadow, I guess. And then just angle that edge. So there's one dragonfly. Didn't take long, did it? And then same again, start where one tail is. Just cut all the way around, rotating your cardstock as you go and not your scissors. Much easier for going around corners. If you're a dressmaker, you will find this easy, because you have to do the same thing when you're going around the corners on dressmaking. So you kind of get used to it. If you don't, just practice. Just do a load of stamping and then practice with a nice sharp pair of paper snips. I buy mine from Stampin' Up, and I can guarantee everyone that attends my classes inevitably ends up purchasing the paper snips. There are craft scissors available which are larger, but for freehand cutting it has to be the paper snips. So there's your 3 bits there that we need. Pop them onto their back sides, and then you want some Stampin' dimensionals, and let's have a look, you want a couple on the back of the frame. And what I use for the butterflies, if I've got any more, I tend to use the edge bits because they're slightly narrower and you don't have to cut them down so much, or if at all. So like here, this is some of the edge bits, so just snip a little bit off and it'll go straight through the middle there and it won't show on the other side. Right, let's assemble. And your butterflies, your dragonflies, you kind of want them flying in different directions, which is exactly how they would be in their natural environment. and then your tag goes on the right way round, and pop that so it overlaps the lace and that Hessian weave stamp. And there it is, finished. Hopefully that was all in shot. I've tried a slightly different camera angle today to try and make sure I do get everything in shot instead of having little bits here and there. This card creates lots of shadows because we haven't got everything stuck right down, and I love that. I love when you get shadows on a card. So that's today's card. Thank you very much for watching. As always, all of my social media accounts are in the show more section underneath today's video, and there's also a comments box there, but you can also leave comments on my blog, and there is a direct link from my video to my blog, and I also make sure all of the full tutorial is on my blog, so you can just copy and paste it as you wish. And that's it for today, so thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow with another project. Ta-ta for now.